Well, hey everybody, Jonathan Doyle with you again. Thanks so much for tuning in, whether you're on the podcast version or here on the video versions. Please make sure you're subscribed. It's a little bit of fun I get every week is to watch the subscriber count creep up. So I'd love you if you could subscribe. If you are experiencing some occasional inspiration, encouragement, some directions forward from this content, please subscribe. Go and check out the links here in the show notes, in the description here, because you can get a free copy of my book, Bridging the Gap. There's a whole bunch of other stuff there. So go check out those links. It would mean a lot to me. Today, we want to talk a little bit more about story. In recent weeks, we've been talking about dreams, ambition, and the story that you find yourself living in. And today's quote from Donald Miller, I just randomly came across his book the other day. I went and bought a copy. I've been reading his biography. It's very interesting. Donald Miller today reminds us that we all start out, don't we, as young people with the ability and the desire or the potentiality to change the world. And as the difficulties of life flow on, we begin to let go of some of our greatest dreams and goals. And what today's quote is about is reminding us that we don't want to end up going to look for an easier story. I think Zig Ziglar used to say that, this was Brian Tracy. He used to say, don't ask that things were easier, ask that you were better. Often in life, if we don't hit our big goals relatively early in the journey, one of the things that most people do is they start to develop an easier story. They settle, right? So it's the old Pilgrim's Progress story, is that there's a destination and a goal, but as life gets difficult, we can often tend to kind of settle for wherever we are. And today's message is about really challenging that. So let's jump into the quote from Donald Miller. I think this is when most people give up on their stories. They come out of college wanting to change the world, wanting to get married, wanting to have kids and change the way people buy office supplies. But they get into the middle and discover it was harder than they thought. They can't see the distant shore anymore, and they wonder if their paddling is moving them forward. None of the trees behind them are getting smaller, and none of the trees ahead are getting bigger. They take it out on their spouses, and they go looking for an easier story. Well, I don't know about you, but I can definitely relate to times when you feel like you're paddling as hard as you can, you're doing everything right, and the distant shore is not getting any closer. A while ago, we were with some friends on a family kind of holiday a few years ago. And one of the kids took a paddleboard out and there was crazy wind and a whole bunch of stuff happening, and they kind of froze. And it was pretty serious, and they were a long, long way out off the beach. And it was one of those moments where everybody's like, oh no, they should be fine. This is okay. This is going to work out. And all of a sudden we realized this is really serious. And I just grabbed a canoe and jumped into a kayak and just started paddling full gas to get to them. And so I'm paddling out and, I'm halfway out and I start to think, this is really pretty serious now. This is pretty dramatic. And I'm paddling out and I get to this person and I settle them first. I remember the one thing you never do in a kind of quasi-rescue situation is just, grab the person. You get them calm first. We got on the kayak and we started paddling for the distant shore. And by this time, the wind was extraordinary. It really just came out of nowhere. And I remember paddling as hard as I could, realizing I had another person's life in my hands, as well as my own, and my own family back on the beach going, is this the day that Dad says goodbye? And I remember paddling for that distant shore and just going as hard as I could and seeing it not move much closer. I think we can all relate. Long story, I should finish the story, right? We got there, it was fine, it was pretty intense, but it was all good. So that was a good result. But I can definitely relate to that metaphor of kind of paddling as hard as you can and feeling you're not making progress. So many of us, you might be in a career now, a relationship, your health and fitness goals, financial goals, as you're paddling as hard as you can, but you're not making progress. And what Donald Miller is saying today is that this is the exact point when most people check out. It's the exact point when most people go, what's the point? Well, I'm even going to bother. Why don't I go do something easier or just settle for where I am? It seems to be a strange law of the cosmos that it's right at those moments that if you can push yourself through those moments of extreme difficulty and disillusion, there seems to be some real magic on the other side. The obvious question is, well, how do you know the difference? How do you know when you're doing something that's pointless and you might as well just quit because you're doing the wrong thing, as opposed to doing something that's really difficult and you need to push through? So for many years, I've taught some very basic principles on this. One is, if what you're doing is causing genuine harm to yourself or others in terms of physical harm, like your health's getting shot, you're not getting time with the people that care about you, if there's lots of negative outcomes, that's a really good indicator that you may be pursuing the wrong thing. But often in life, when we're pursuing the right thing, even if it's hard, then the people who know us best and care about us the most will often encourage us to keep going. So I guess today's message is just my way of saying to you, you need to filter the season you're in. If you're in a season where you're pushing and pushing and pushing, the first step is to know that you're pushing for the right thing. That you're pushing for something that's genuinely worthwhile and it will make a difference in your life and will add contribution to the lives of other people. The second filter is, are you surrounded by people telling you to stop? Now, I really want you to concentrate, because in personal development, there's a lot of nuance around this. Sometimes people don't want you to succeed, even people close to you, because they don't want you to go beyond them and have a life very different to what they experience. They want you to stay where you are. But sometimes people close to you will say, hey, you should back off a little bit. You're really harming yourself, or you're damaging our relationship. So you've got to get very good at filtering the wisdom in those things. But in summary, I think what Donald Miller's quote is really about today is reminding us that we start out with big stories. Most people find that those stories are difficult, so they let go of the story. And I don't want you to do that. So I just want to ask you, what story did you start out with in life? Have you settled? And what would be necessary to push through and keep going for you? I hope that's helpful. Please make sure you're subscribed. Go check out all the other links, coaching, free access to my book, Bridging the Gap. Go grab all that stuff. My name's Jonathan Doyle. I'll have another message for you tomorrow.